about the investigation that we just can't share at this time. So thank you very much.
Gentlemen?
Good afternoon, everyone. As Jesse just said, I'm Mark Yancey. I'm the acting United States Attorney here in the Western District of Oklahoma. Along with my counterparts from the FBI and the Oklahoma City Police Department, we're here to announce the arrest and charging of Jerry Drake Varnell, a white male, age 23, from Sayre, Oklahoma. Early Saturday morning in Oklahoma City, Mr. Varnell was arrested by members of the Joint Terrorism Task Force, that's an FBI group here in Oklahoma City, after an 8-month-long investigation. Yesterday, we filed a criminal complaint in federal district court here in the Western District of Oklahoma, charging Mr. Varnell with the attempted destruction of a building by means of an explosive. That's a violation of Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 844. If Mr. Varnell is convicted of this offense, he could serve not less than 5 years in prison and a maximum of 20 years in prison. We anticipate that Mr. Varnell will make his initial appearance in court today at 3 p.m. before United States Magistrate Judge Sean T. Irwin. We also expect that we will seek an indictment from the grand jury within 30 days. I want to thank the FBI and the Oklahoma City Police Department and all of the other members, federal, state, and local, who participated in this investigation through the Joint Terrorism Task Force. They've done extraordinary work in this case. Before I turn it over to my FBI counterpart, I want to remind the public that at this stage of the proceeding, Mr. Varnell is presumed innocent until he's proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
You allow me a few words. Good morning. I am Rob Wahanda, National Security Branch Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI Oklahoma City Field Office. Before I speak to this investigation, I'd first like to thank all of our partners that were involved in this investigation, specifically Oklahoma City Police Department, OHP, OBN, HSI, Edmond Police Department, and OSBI. This operation would not have been a success without their assistance and cooperation. The JTTF's primary mission is to work collectively to protect the citizens of Oklahoma from both domestic and international terrorist threats. In late December of 2016, Varnell expressed his desire to start a new revolution. His targets included institutions with affiliations to the U.S. government located in Washington, D.C., which also included the financial sector. Varnell attempted to recruit others to his plan but was unsuccessful. He eventually selected a financial institution in his home state of Oklahoma. Varnell then began acquiring components for what he believed would make a 1,000-pound improvised explosive device. These components included ammonium nitrate and other explosives that were in fact inert and supplied by the FBI. On the night of Friday, August 11th, Varnell assembled the components to make a large vehicle-borne IED and loaded it into a cargo van. He parked the van in the alley of Bank First and fled to a safe location in order to remotely detonate the bomb. FBI agents arrested the subject without incident. The investigation against Jerry Drake Varnell is an example of our promise to the American people that if they see something, say something, and provide something actionable, the FBI will investigate. Our agents and task force partners spent countless hours working days and nights and weekends on this investigation to ensure our city did not have to endure another Oklahoma City bombing. For these men and women, this was more than just another investigation. It was a personal connection to the disaster our state already endured over 20 years ago. I commend the time, the energy, and the heart they put into this investigation. I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Bill Weaver for a few words.
Thank you. I'm Major Bill Weaver. I'm the commander of the Special Investigation Division for the Oklahoma City Police Department. I'd like to take a moment to commend the state and federal agents, police officers, and state troopers and support personnel who worked together on this investigation. They've done an exceptional job. This just goes to show what happens when somebody that sees something says something, and that law enforcement works forward to interdict that threat. We're very fortunate in Oklahoma to have the environment where there's so much cooperation in law enforcement, and this is a perfect example of how well things can work when that situation exists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Do we have any questions now from the audience? Sir.
Had this 1,000-pound bomb actually detonated, how would it compare to the Oklahoma City bombing 20 years ago
So,
in terms of damage?
so this actual device would have been remotely detonated using a cell phone. So the target himself, Mr. Varnell, would call the bomb itself through a triggering device in a cell phone that was already affixed to the bomb. He would call the phone, and it would ring, and that's what would detonate the bomb. As opposed to 20 years ago with the Oklahoma City bombing, which was set in place by the white team McVeigh.
But in terms of damage, how much damage would it have caused versus the bombing 20 years ago?
This was a large bomb. This was a 1,000-pound bomb. If you want to compare it in size, the Oklahoma City bombing was 6,000 pounds. But that's not to minimize the damage that this bomb would have caused to the buildings.
How far would this guy have gotten if you guys didn't get involved? Do you think you could have carried it out eventually?
So the bottom line is the FBI will do everything to protect the citizens of Oklahoma and the United States. This bomb itself would have caused serious damage, and Mr. Drake Rennell had the intent to go ahead and carry out this plot to the end.
According to the criminal complaint, there was a girl that was involved in this also. Will she be facing charges? Are more charges pending in this case?
At this time, we only have information that Mr. Varnell was involved in this plot. Of course, this is an ongoing investigation, but we do not have any information at this time that anyone else is involved.
Sir,
Okay.
go ahead.
Why Friday night? Was the timing of this set to coincide with what happened in Charlottesville this weekend?
Absolutely not. This was just an investigation that had gone on for several months, and this was just the time that it just culminated into the actual setting of the bomb. Those two events have nothing in common.
Is there a reason he wanted to do it in the middle of the night?
He wanted to do it to kind of keep himself out of the public eye, be able to do it by through darkness, and be able to confiscate some of his things that he was actually trying to accomplish.
Robert.
GoFundMe page to raise some kind of drug resources related to this at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
How did the FBI become aware of this?
So going back to the concerned citizen seeing something and saying something, this is exactly how this started.
Do we know how they became acquainted with each other, the informant and Varnell?
I'm not certain, but I believe it was social media.
Was Varnell involved in any other outside militia groups or any terrorist organizations or anything along those lines?
No.
I'm sorry, was that answer no?
No.
Should people in Oklahoma be concerned about this?
About this specific event? Not at all. Once we were aware of his intent, we were controlling this situation from beginning to end. So there was never a threat to any citizens in Oklahoma. FBI, with working with all our collective partners in the U.S. Attorney's Office, made certain that this was always going to be controlled from beginning to end. There was never a risk to the American public.
Did Varnell have any connections with any white supremacist groups?
No.
Now, after 1995, some more regulations were put on the materials needed to make that type of a bomb. Would Varnell have the resources to acquire actual materials that weren't inert, or would any citizen have the ability to replicate what he did with actual materials?
Well, like you're stating, we do have a lot of places in place that kind of prevent individuals from going and purchasing these types of things. Is there still a possibility? Of course there is. And if the intent and the desire is there, he would have been able to acquire it. That is why it was crucial that the FBI was placed at the beginning of this investigation when we came to know about this and stayed through it throughout.
Whose custody is he in right now? Are you allowed to say that?
He is currently in U.S. Marshal's custody, again, in anticipation of his initial appearance this afternoon.
Is there a certain jail that they take? Does it depend? Or?
That will be up to the United States Marshal Service.
So take us back through this, I guess, past Saturday night. He went through all these motions thinking he's actually really going to blow a building up downtown. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you said it was in an alleyway there next to the Bank First, is that correct?
Right, there was the loading dock that's right in that alleyway.
Did he assemble the device himself, and where did he get that expertise?
So he assembled the device himself, and we provided some of those expertise through an FBI undercover operation.
Now, you said he's not actually a member of any kind of extremist group at all, but do you see signs that he was influenced by any kind of online group at all?
No, but he did have the ideology for anti-government.
Why was he against the government?
That's a good question as to what might have been his motivations. That is, well, that would be speculation a lot on my part. This is something that we came to us from him himself, his own words, his social media, what we were able to exploit. So that was driven, that intent. There was nothing specific to, I guess, the target, but this is something that he already had personally.
Can you give some examples of some of the social media posts that demonstrated this type of ideology?
Well, this is still part of an ongoing investigation, so at this point I'm not at liberty.
So you can tell us how he engaged, through what social media? Was it like a Facebook or some other website, or?
He had a Facebook site.
Okay, so it was through Facebook that he was expressing his displeasure with the government.
Right, some of which, and then others obviously in person to other individuals that he considered to be of like mind.
Is his statement that he had prepared ahead of time, is that available to us?
That information should be in the criminal complaint that you have a copy of.
My apologies.
He did attempt to recruit several other people. Have any of them approached the FBI or other agencies to let them know this is going on?
Those individuals did report that to the FBI.
How many?
I'm not certain of the numbers. I would say it was at least 2.
Could you reiterate to us how similar this was to the Oklahoma City bombing?
Well, the bomb itself was the exact similar type bomb, except in size it was different. The Oklahoma City bomb was 6,000 pound ample bomb. This was a 1,000 pound IED.
For those of us, and I think it's most of us, we can't really grasp what kind of damage a bomb like that can do. Could you kind of give us a better explanation of what we could have expected had that gone on?
There's a lot of factors that would go into it. One thing I can tell you related to the size of this specific bomb was where it was positioned within that loading dock in close proximity to those buildings. It would cause severe damage to those buildings if not, it's very difficult to say exactly what it would have been, but it would have caused at least more than 50% damage to those buildings.
Is there a reason why he shifted from wanting to bomb the Federal Reserve to the corporate bank?
Not certain as far as the location itself, going from Washington, D.C. to Oklahoma City, but he wanted to make the biggest impact wherever he was going to place this bomb. And in his mind, this would have been the biggest impact in Oklahoma.
Because of Oklahoma City?
Because of the size of the institution that he selected, the Bank First.
Does he have any known political affiliations?
Not that we're aware of.
The undercover agent kind of encouraged him to do this, or would he have done it anyway? I guess.
So the undercover employee was very specific in what his intent was, and that was to be, at the beginning of the operation, to be a listening post, to find out exactly what his state of mind was, and then to make sure that we control the situation. So as far as the intent and what he wanted and the desire that he had, Mr. Barnell, that was all coming from Mr. Barnell.
Do you know, did he choose that type of explosive specifically? That was his?
Yes, sir. He wanted to go ahead and replicate the Oklahoma City bomb.
And you say he acted alone. Is there a reason to believe that he might have influenced other people, or there might be other people out there with similar motives?
So we knew he was trying to influence others because we had an ongoing undercover operation, and also the concerned citizens that came with this initial information to the FBI.
How long has he been in Sayre, Oklahoma?
That I am not aware of.
All his life? Is he lifelong?
We don't have that information.
Don't have that information?
He was, according to the criminal complaint, he was living with his stepfather and mother, and there was a bunker on the property. Can you explain to me what this bunker was all about?
So that's where he was residing. As far as why he wanted to have a bunker, I think it just goes along the lines of being anti-government and the ideology that he was maintaining. there's really no rhyme or reason as to why he decided to have a bunker
Was
at
this
his parents' house.
Did they put the bunker in, or did he put the bunker in, or do you know?
That I am not certain.
You know, what was inside his bunker?
So he had his just regular things that he would have to be able to live, a bed, and those types of things. But we were very specific as to, we just wanted to make sure that we identified where he lived and where he would reside.
Were there firearms inside his bunker?
I'm not aware.
Any other questions?
So this would be your classic example of lone wolf then? Or do you think that this sentiment exists with other people in Oklahoma?
This was something he was definitely trying to find out, whether this is a sentiment that he had personally. Did he have other individuals of like mind, other friends? I can't say for certain. I can only kind of speak to our investigation. But did he act alone? Was he planning on acting alone? Yes.
How skilled and knowledgeable was he in the materials that he wanted to get and knowing how to actually put them together?
Well, he did his research online. He was very, very committed to wanting to get this accomplished, so he self-educated himself with what he could find online.
But did you get the sense that he could actually pull this off versus tinkering around on the internet?
I believe so, based on what he had learned and what his overall language and how he was communicating with our undercover employee. He had the knowledge, had the skill. Maybe not the finite details, but he was getting to that point.
So you believe he had the ability, the knowledge and the ability to actually carry this off had your agent not substituted dummy materials?
We believe he definitely had the intent, and he was trying to develop that knowledge.
Anything else? Okay.
Raul, could you spell the last name, please?
I think Jesse was going to do that for me because he does a better job. But it's B-U-J, J as in John, A-N, D as in David, A.